Yes, my name is Jacob Flick. I founded the company QSL Northern Europe together with traders, the producer of the QuickEdd product in France. That was in 2008. And now we are here. And I will give you a very short impression and some background information about the product and the company. And then my colleague in Holland is Milko. Hello, Milko.
Hello, Jacob. Hello.
How long are you waiting now? Okay. I will hurry up. I will hurry up for you. Later on, Milko is going to take you around in the software. It will be live. We have 2 systems in Holland. And he will take you through and show you how to set up a replication. He might show you the switch, and he will take you through the switch scenario. I don't know why, but several customers who used other products, they like our switch scenario. And you use this if you do a switch controlled or not controlled. Some background information. As I said to you, we started in 2008, but actually we started in 2000 selling the QuickEdd product in Holland. And in 2008 we founded this company QSL Northern Europe. And we are a distributor. That means we don't sell direct to end users. We have our partners in the countries, and our strategy is that we let our partner do the full process. That means that they implement and they do after sales support. Since 2008, actually, our partner Silpol started in Poland, and we have several customers. I don't know exactly. I think it's about 7, 8. And we are going to help Silpol in Poland and maybe in Czechia, Slovakia, to develop some business here, and that's why we're here for. We have 150 customers in our region, but I think it's more interesting to know something about the company Traders. They were founded in '92, and they started with the EDD product in, let's say, actually 2000. So that's quite late, maybe, if we compare this to the vendors we have worldwide, like Vision. They were on the market much earlier. But the big advantage of the fact that we were late on the market is that we could do a study and to find out what the customers, how happy actually they are with the existing products and what their needs and wants are for the future. And that's where we start developing QuickEdd. And so we finally produced a product that meets the needs and wants of lots of customers. Actually, what my message is on this screen. If we talk about the Power Eye environment, if we talk about OS 400, and customers want their system 24/7 online, then I think the best way to do it is with QuickEdd. It's software. You need OS 400, you need 2 systems, you need at least 5.4. We can replicate 5.1, but IBM is not supporting. So we always will follow the strategy of IBM. QuickEdd, which is important for you to know, is fully approved by IBM. It's in the software catalog, and IBM can order it always from traders. That means it's also in the CBU offering from IBM. There's a special offering, especially for those customers that want to buy a second machine for high availability purposes. And then you get a special price for the hardware. Specific vendors are inside, like QuickEdd and some others. And for you, if you're looking for a solution, it's important to check with IBM whether the solution is proven by IBM or not. Okay. Traders has worldwide presence, so it doesn't matter where the customer is. We have a 24/7 support. And what is important for the Polish customers, I think, that your people, you, work when our technical people work. That means that our support team that do bug fixing, they are in Paris. And that means if you have a really serious issue, if there's a bug or maybe there's a bug into the operating system of IBM, then we are able to fix it quickly and there's no time zone problem. Quickly, history. This is just to show you that we think the Power is becoming very important. Where in the past, orders came into the company by post or by fax or by telephone. Today, it's lots of business through the internet, and we have web shops. So what you see happening here is that your Power system is becoming very, very important, especially because of the mobile devices. The 24/7 uptime is really, really important. And I think a lot of companies today using an they think that they are safe because they never had a serious crash. Okay? I'm focused. So, we don't want this. It's expensive, and the discussion should be, how much money do we lose every hour the system is not there? Yes, we think it's a must-have. It's not a nice-have. I don't know how many users we have here in the company, in this room, that are using today and use a high availability solution. I don't know if anyone is using a solution already. Yes? And you are users? Okay. I quickly show you the most important issues, because my colleague wants to do his presentation. That's quite unique that we do a live presentation, and probably something will go wrong, but I wonder. It's very easy. If we look at the tools there are today, QuickEdd is, I think, by far the easiest one to implement, to manage. Every day, we need about 5 minutes to manage it. The implementation will take you between 3 and 5 days maximum for a partition, of course. A partition is a full environment for me. It will take time. And it's easy to do a switch. So our customers switch on a regularly basis, at least once a year. Our software is very fast. It's written in MI. It's not written in RPG. I think if we look at the fastest tool there is today, we'll beat them 10 times if it's about speed. And if we're talking about high availability on the platform, it's very important that you have a tool that will replicate in split of seconds. If you have a transaction, you want it as fast as possible in an organized way on the target system. And that is exactly what we do. So with our software, it's actually one process. So whether you replicate a data journal or an audit journal, for us, it's one process. So you always will have an organized system on the target. Other tools, software tools especially, they have two processes. They have one process, that's a remote journal from IBM. So that replication of the data is done by IBM. And they have written a tool in RPG, and that will take care of all the other stuff. And that's in the audit journal. And that's two separate processes. And there's no relation between them. And they arrive on the target, and then they have to organize that. And that is the moment where you might get latency. With our product, as it's one process, the chance that you will get latency is minimum. Of course, we have latency when you have the minimum of bandwidth, when you have slow systems, when the target is slower or smaller than the source, we get latency. But if you compare the tool to all other solutions, we will be by far the fastest. Yes, we use the local journal technology, and that means that if you have a change on the source, we will read it out of the local journal, and will bring that to the target immediately, apply it on the target correctly, immediately, and confirm back to the source that we have done it properly. That means you know that both systems are in sync after this transaction. And that process is very efficient and very fast. And that is what you need if you're looking for a true HA solution. As we use the local journal, we send very few data from A to B, because we only send the changes. We don't need the full journal on the other side. So the bandwidth is minimum. And that means, for example, if you want to migrate a system from Munich in Germany to Mexico, we can do it. And we don't need much bandwidth. But we might need time. But you don't care, because you work on your source system and you're migrating to another empty machine, and that could take maybe 2 days. But you can work on your source while the replication is done to the other system. So that's nice. I don't think other tools can do that, because it will take a lot of time to implement the solution. And we can install the software in 1 hour. So only the installation is 1 hour, but of course the full implementation, the discussion with the user, what to replicate and what not to replicate, that will take some time, of course. The distance I told you, it's a synchronous process. So we select on the source the different from the target, from the journal, and then we send it, apply it, and confirm that we have done it. And last but not least, this is a very unique function. If you have a crash, this function is fantastic. What it does is the following. If you have a system crash and you have lots of jobs running, not for SAP users, and I think not for GD Atlas users, but all the others, there were jobs running on the system the moment you crashed. There were jobs waiting, and there were jobs in the communication line. So if you crash, the jobs in the communication line will be gone. The jobs that were waiting, with any solution there is today on the market, the jobs that were waiting, that information is gone, right? IBM, for example, with Power HA, they will say, we have this information on the target available. That's correct. But in the red books is confirmed that the moment you activate your target system after a system crash, it will empty specific memory areas, and then this job information is gone. With QuickEdd, you have it. And Milko can explain you later on what how that works. Okay, this is to finish where we show a migration. We have a production system in Germany. There's a new machine in Mexico. We only have the operating system on it. The rest is empty. We have internet, and we start installing QuickEdd remotely from Holland on a system in Germany. And we do the same on a system in Mexico. We start the replication. The people work on the machine in Munich. And while they're working, it's replicating to a machine in Mexico. And it took us several hours to replicate the machine. And the company saved a lot of time for people making backups and doing restores. Testing. If you do a backup and you do a restore, you start testing. If there is something the matter, you have a problem. What we do is, if we are replicated and the target is equal to the source, we start testing on the target. And if everything is okay, that's the moment where we create the downtime, and we have to switch to the target machine in Mexico. So this is fantastic. Some details, we replicated 4.6 MB, and that's about 500 transactions per second. And if we have 8 MB, it was about 1,000. So we saved this company really a lot of time. So QuickEdd is a nice high availability solution, but you can also use it, you can rent the keys to perform an international system migration. So the backup and restore process, you can skip it, you can use EDD, and as it's very easy to implement it and to install it, we'll save a lot of time. Okay, Milko.
Yes.
Hello. It's up to you now. Good luck. And did I say something wrong?
Just about the installation. you talked about an installation of 1 hour. It's about 10 minutes per system, the installation, so it's a bit less than an hour.
Okay.
Configuration is a few days in total implementation.
Okay. So, 1 second. I can't see the... Where's my GoToMeeting session? It's gone, Melko.
No, it's still there. We have a connection.
Yes, but I can see it. It's a PowerPoint. I'm afraid it's gone.
No, it's not gone. We have connection.
Yes, but how do I activate it?
Yeah.
Because
If you use Alt-Tab, you should get there. You see the flower.
yeah, that's the problem. The flower is gone. Alt-Enter or
Tab.
Alt-Tab? No, this is the CRM. Oh, here it is. Yes, it's coming now.
Oh, okay. It's not gone.
Yeah, okay. Well, I would say
Can you see my screen?
yes, we can all see it. So good luck. You have,
Okay.
Waldemar, how much time do we have?
Hour. I mean, what is it? Check.
30 minutes?
What is it? Finished.
Okay. Well, let me start. And I will hear when I need to finish.
Okay.
What you see is the main menu of QuickEdd. After it's a very small product that you can download from an FTP site of us. In total, it's 50 megabytes, and you can just install it in less than 10 minutes. We do not need any specific PDFs or licensed programs. So it's a restore of a save file, and that's it. Once you've installed it, this is the main menu. We go to, I will set up the replication, and I will tell you some more about some tools around it, like the switch scenario. Option 1. I created a replication, just the name. This is an environment. In the environment, we set everything for the full replication. Normally, we replicate full systems except OS 400. So general parameters, just the number of jobs that we're using, and some default settings. We do not need to adjust. 90% of all settings are okay. Target system, where are we going to replicate to? We can do a local replication from library A to library B. That's not high availability, but it's possible, and we can replicate to a different system. You can use hostname, IP address. You specify the user profile, and you tell what to do with journal information, like receivers and journaling. So only change the name. Journals, what are we going to do with it? Software replication, all products are based on journaling. We also, we can do the maintenance of all the receivers. So we can set here some defaults when we're going to change the receivers, for example, every 24 hours. Are we going to do maintenance? Yes. When do we do? 24 hours after we're finished with the receivers. And that's it. Jacob told you about job information that we can replicate. We can say manage jobs. That means all the jobs that we see in work active job, that information we can have available on the target system. So in the case of a crash of the production system, we can see on the target system which tasks were active. and then we can take actions as we want. We cannot restart those tasks. So the active tasks we only have for information. All the submitted tasks in job queues we can restore. So we can save them and we can restore them if we want during a switch scenario. And we can say for how long do we want to keep the information. The supervision delay, that's just a screen refresh. We replicate real time every task that's coming into the system. Library parameters. So the first 4 were general parameters, and the parameters library system, IFS, spool, sysval are specific parameters for each company different what they want to replicate. I create, as we call it, a library group, and we tell them top level, what do we want to replicate? Do we want to replicate Q objects? Yes. QSys owner objects? Yes. We do not want to replicate Q libraries, so we leave that by default 0. If we do not want to exclude specific objects, if objects are not journaled, we force journaling, also for data areas, and we call the journal that we want to use. So if an object is already journaled, we keep the journal as it is. All objects that are not journaled in this selection, we're going to start this journal. If I go one level deeper with an 8, I can make my selection. What do I want to replicate? I want to replicate all blue libraries, all types of objects, all objects, and they all go to the same library of the target system. This is an include. If I set a 1 here and I want to do an omit, for example, library, and I want to do a license key, I do not want to replicate from that library. Oh, sorry. Oh, there's no link in there, sorry. It's a file, and it's called linkinf. And we call omit a file that's called linkinf. If we want to set more libraries in this group, we can just library common, for example. So you can do includes, omits, include, they all go to this journal. If you want to use to stay, but in this case I do not want to start journaling, I leave this by default, or I want to use a different journal, that's also possible. I can say, okay, I want to replicate everything from PDH, that is our libraries. I do not want to replicate, sorry, I do want to omit PDH itself, that's our replication profile, program library, and that's it. Now we have built 2 groups. This way I can also easily say, I do not want to replicate Q objects or QSys owner. I want to replicate a Q profile, a Q library, QSys owned. I don't start journaling, and I can say, for example, let's do QSys and the authorization list, for example, or QGPL. And all the objects which are not Q objects, not OS400 objects, will be replicated. Because I told in the group, no Q objects, but allow Q libraries. That means we do replicate the Q library, but not the Q objects. I will delete the QGPL because that's a big. Okay, I can leave this. Then we have system parameters. It all looks the same. Do we want to replicate this group? We replicate devices and user profiles. Do we want to replicate Q profiles? No, we don't. What type of devices We exclude displays, tapes, other devices, controllers, or whatever. Do we want to create a device? If we replicate, yes. If we replicate user profiles, do we want to let them enabled or disabled? Or do we not want to change passwords? If we have the same user on two systems with different passwords, we do not change passwords. So in this case, we leave it as is. It's just a test. I go one level deeper and do a one. What do I want to replicate? All devices, and we did a selection only for printers. We want to replicate user profiles, but in this case, we want to, omit user profile. We'll go more. Our own replication user profile. IFS, it's all the same. Give it the name. Do we want to replicate Q objects, files in the IFS that we want to replicate? Yes. Users only? Yes. We do not want to use journaling. We can use journaling in the IFS. So if it has a function there, we can use it. Do we want to include subdirectories? Yes. And the path, and this path can be as long as we type it. So in this case, my colleague's name is Leo. We're going to replicate his directories. We can also replicate spool files. We can also replicate system values if you want, but I skipped that for today. What I will do, I will set a question mark. We have some extra options. Before we replicate, I want to do a generate of the object. That means that it will give me an overview of what I have selected. And I get extra lines under the parameters with my result. So I will run generate. And this can take a small minute. And once it's finished, we can see before we start the replication of what the result is. I will show on the target side. This is our target machine. If I go to the blue libraries, I've selected them. They're not on the system at this moment. If I go to the IFS, there's no Leo in the IFS. So let's go back. Wow. Generate. If we look on the target, the only thing after we have installed the product, we have a system daemon, an initial TCP/IP daemon, which listens for the replication for the connection, and that's the only task that needs to be active with the subsystem of PMEDH itself. Okay, it's generating still. Let's start a second session. I can continue. It's not finished. So we also have some, besides all the libraries that we want to replicate, IFS and everything, we also have some extra settings that we want to replicate, like the status of user profiles. If we disable them on the target machine, we want to enable them again, but we want to have the same result as on the production. So we can use the status of user profiles, enable, disable, job schedule entries, system information, exit points, reply lists, directory entries, environment variables, TCP data, like host name, host table and interfaces, net server definitions, the directory entries. We can all replicate this, only those objects will not be replicated in real time, but we schedule them for replication once a day or multiple times a day. This is, if you run this save, it will run for 1 or 2 minutes, and then it will be on the target side. We do not apply all those settings on the target system only after a switch. So we will not override the job schedule on the target system or the directory entries, the applied list or whatever. Net server stays active. When we do a switch, then we apply. We save the original settings of the target and we restore the settings from the production. Let me see if it's already finished. It's still generating, building the list. We also have some supervision parameters to make sure that's a heartbeat. So if the heartbeat goes down, it tries to restart, and it will give you messages, monitoring messages. We have all kinds of monitoring options in the program. We have a message queue. You can redirect to another message queue if you want. We can send emails, but we can also send SNMP traps if you want. We provide the MIP for the SNMP if you use them. And like Jacob mentioned, we also have the switch scenarios. So let's go to the switch scenarios. This is what we deliver by default. That's 90% okay. But so we have some general checking scenarios. We have some test scenarios. We have a planned switch scenario and unplanned. But if we look, let's go to the planned and to option 8. We have all kinds of steps in each scenario, and this is just CL scripting. So this is nothing more than normal OS400 commands. You can run any command you like. You can build it as you wish, specific for your own company. But by default, a lot of in here is okay. Well, let's hope generate is done. Well, I think I selected a bit too much maybe. But we will see. Okay. We also have delivered tools. Option 23 from the menu. Some general tools just for looking at the audit settings of the system. We have a journal manager. It means we can manage the journals with a general rule in the environment, but we can also set specific rules for specific journals, or for each journal a specific rule. We can easily start, stop journaling on objects. So we have some analysis tools to analyze the system, and we have some checking tools, and there's more. There are a lot of commands available. Well, I hope this will not take too long. We also have available a GUI. So in this case we're going to replicate from Bert to Elmo. Well, the environment is there, but we did not start it or whatever, so we cannot see what's there. Within the GUI, we cannot do the configuration. It's a monitoring GUI, so we can control, we can start, stop, we can verify, we can generate the messages, activity of the replication. That's right, a long time. Okay.
Milko, maybe it's
yes.
nice to tell the people how we do a backup on the target system while the replication is running.
Okay. Normally, I can't show you on screen something. You can use your own backup program. If it's a CL or it's BMS that you're using, we can handle both. what we do, we send a journal entry from the production system to the target system at a specific time. You schedule them. What we will do, normally we have a synchronous replication, so we apply directly on the objects, and when we do a backup, we're going to run asynchronous. That means that all changes will be replicated to the target system, but they will not be applied. It will be in, as we call it, a no I/O mode. After the backup is finished, or if we do a save or active after that the sync points are set, you can use either both of them, we start applying again. So in this case, during the backup, your production system is available, everybody can work. We do send to the target system all the changes, so in case of a crash of your production, all changes are available on the target system. Depending on the way that you set up the backup, we have already applied all the changes, or we have to apply, and that's a decision what you want to make. Normally we do a save or active with a full sync. That means that we sync every library that we have in backup for the same timestamp. Once the sync point is set, and that is normally in a system less than 10 minutes for a full system, we start the backup, but we also start the apply. And that means that during the backup, you are still high available on the target.
Yeah.
So, okay, this takes a long time, and I want to see on this screen. Let's see.
And maybe it's nice to tell the people if we have a release upgrade, how we can do that on the fly.
Yeah, you don't at the moment. Okay, there's still a lot of jobs on the system. As I mentioned, the package is very small, so you can download it from the FTP server. It's just a restore of a library that you have to do. So you stop the replication. You have to upgrade both systems at the same time, because we need the same release on both systems. And the only thing you need to do is to restore that save file, and then you're done. So upgrade of 2 systems, if you've done it a few times, it will be less than 10 minutes per system just to do an upgrade. And you don't have to worry about any loads of PDFs that is needed for some products. You always receive the full product with us. It's written in machine instruction, and it's always product. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna stop this one. Otherwise, we're gonna have some time problems. And I'm going to change, because we do not have so much time.
We have some 10 minutes from now.
Yeah? Okay. Let's see. Okay. Are there questions so far?
No questions? Easy? Okay. Well, Milko, in the back you're doing things, and I can quickly say some other things.
It's here. So what we have, besides the parameters, was the criteria of what we want to replicate, and this is the result. So if I put in an 8, I will see these are the libraries that I'm replicating. If I did omit for specific files, specific libraries, they're not in the list. The same is for the users that we want to replicate, and devices, and the same is for IFS that I want to replicate. Because of time frame, I will start the replication now. It's the first time we start. We do a complete synchro. That means that we verify everything that we have on the target. If there's nothing, we will send everything. So I'm going to start this one, and I will show the messages. It generates, it sets always the full parameters. If you make any changes to the environment, it will be sent over each time you start the environment. Once the parameters are sent over to the target system, this is the target system, and it's already here. It will start with setting all the journal positions. It will start sending all the user profiles because of the authority. So we make sure that we keep all the object authority as it is. We're going to send devices, we're going to send the libraries, and then we're going to send the authorization list of things that I've selected in QSys, and then every file that we have in replication, it will be sent. Well, it's a lot. We still have 330 objects waiting to be getting synced. We have 6 active tasks, and 1182 objects are in sync. If I go to the GUI, it's auto refresh. It sends. It's active, as you can see. This is an auto refresh, so it will every few seconds update my screen. As you can see. And just it's not a big environment, so it will take not so long to get everything in sync.
Okay, can you tell something about what kind of bandwidth normally is used?
Yeah, normally we use to keep systems in sync. So once they're in sync, and want to keep them in sync, about 2 megabits should be enough between the systems to keep them in sync. Now we're syncing, so when you need to sync, it's less efficient replicating. You need some more bandwidth. But for just the replication to keep system in sync, 2 megabits is okay. So it's low bandwidth. We only send to change data to the target if we are in sync.
Okay.
Well, and we can speed up the number of jobs that we have. I told you the general parameter will show me some jobs. In this case we are syncing and we have a maximum of 6 tasks configured, minimum 2, maximum 6. So, and we can upscale to 15 tasks if we want. If you use 15, it will cost you some more CPU, it will cost you some more bandwidth because it goes quicker. Well, we're almost there. As you can see, cast down, and that's it. We're in sync. The last 2 objects running, just one, and everything is done. So, if we go to just a quick thing. Switch scenario, let me show you. If you do a black switch for this environment, for example, you can run it step by step, switch scenarios. Once you created them, you can also run them in batch or interactively if you want. The first few times you will run it step by step. Most people will always keep it step by step. But if your switch scenario becomes perfect, you can run it in batch, and you can do automatic switching if you want to. But in case of a disaster, we will not advise you to automatically switch, because you don't know if a batch job was halfway running and stopped, what the status is of your database, the consistency. How looks a switch scenario if you want to run them? We get a prompt. F23 to confirm, F30 to skip the step. I will push F23 and we start. Message to all users, to myself, so I know what I'm doing. I send a break message to all users, so they know they have to sign off. If you have delay jobs like this, 5 seconds, my screen will hang for 5 seconds. If we want to check who's active, well, somebody's still active. This is my second session. I can say, okay, he needs to get out. I can end, or I can call the person to say, you have to end. If I'm done here, I do F12, I get back to my environment. I can save the specific object because I schedule that once a day. If I do a planned switch, I make a save of the current time and all the settings that are now in those objects. I can hold the job schedule empty if I want, so nothing will process on my production system. I can end my application if I want to. So you have some jobs, files or subsystems that you want to end, to check or whatever. End the subsystem. I can check, is everything active, what is active? Well, QuickEdd is not here anymore. F12, and I come back in my switch scenario. Set the switch point. I will check in my QSysber if I have any jobs of hours. We have some monitoring jobs, if they're active here. Because if the heartbeat is active and I will stop replication, that will automatically be restarted. Well, we don't have it active here. And I will go into my environment and I will check, are we in sync? What is our delay? Do we have objects waiting? Is objects are running at this moment? Or are there objects not okay? Well, everything looks okay. Well, it's a system, nobody works on it in this case. I go back, F12, I will stop the environment. I can do a delay to make sure everything is ended normally, so the replication will be stopped. I give it a 10 seconds delay. I will end the subsystem of PMEDH. I will end, if users connect through IP, I will end the IP address. And I will set it to start Nova Auto Restart, so it will not be started after an IPO. I can check, well, IP address is inactive. I can change host name of the system. I can end the net server because we cannot have twice the same name of net server in our network. It's ending. Net server. I can rename the net server, so next time it will start, it will get a different name. Instead of Bert, it will be Gert SW. I can change my startup program. So if you have QuickEdd starting in the startup program, it will not be started, the replication. I can send a break message to everybody. I can do some last check-ins if I want to, just to command. I can start the system daemon, and that's it. My switch on the production system, the planned switch, was done. Now I can go to my target system, and in this case, outer. Okay. And switch scenario. And I can run, for example, this interactively. That means that I do not have to confirm everything, only some screens that will be shown. I have to F12 for loop. So I can still interact with it. I will run this, and it will show me the submitted jobs. I can check my environment here. It already created a set environment. This is the switch. It will restore all the specific data that we have. We have enabled, restored the 52 interface that comes from the production. F12. It will restore net server. Q command if I want to do some last checking. I will enable all the users if they were disabled, and they will be enabled live on the production, and it's done. If I look into the environment, normally we only have a receive environment. After the switch we also have a send environment, and this send environment is when we can start for replicating back to the production system if you want. Well, I'm done. I think I'm almost in time, so if there are any questions, please let me know.
Okay, I have one last question. People always ask me, how fast can you switch in case of an emergency if your system, your source system crashed?
Yeah, I cannot give you a specific time. If people can give you a specific time, okay, let me tell you. Our product, QuickEdd, can switch in seconds until a few minutes. It depends on the number of constraints and the number of triggers that you have and the number of journals. But for our application, QuickEdd, we can switch really fast. The switch depends on your own procedures, and if you have a disaster, a crash of the production, you have to do some recovery work, because if it was stopped halfway a process, you need to know, is my database still okay, consistent? If not, you have to do some repair work. We cannot say how long that will take. So normally, if you do a planned switch, you will be able to switch within 15 minutes. That's our program with your own procedures. I hope this will answer the question.
Yeah, I think so. So what we actually guarantee in case of an emergency, that we will switch in 15 minutes to a target system. That means that we have an active target system where you can look into, and then of course you have to do application fixing because you had serious issues on the communication line. But the switch to the target system is we guarantee in 15 minutes. Okay. Yes, if you don't have any more questions, I have one last more thing to say. This is a very nice story. We have shown you the product. Don't believe everything we say. Try it out yourself. That's what we say, and I think this is unique. We will come over, we do an implementation for free, and not a part of the product. We implement the full solution on one system. If you have 6.1, we can create virtual partition. You can replicate from one to another. Or you have two systems, and we can set up that you replicate to the target. You can play with the software for, let's say, 30 days. If you need more, we can make 45 days, maybe 60 days, maybe 1 year, maybe 2 years. But you will have the opportunity to test the product in your live environment with your live data, your live application and stuff like that. And that's unique. And that means if you are not happy, you don't pay at all. So it's our risk that we will lose 2 to 3 days of implementation. We can do a lot of things remote. So there's no risk. The only risk is that you will lose some time.
Sorry, may I have a question?
Yes?
Do you know other high availability solutions on the market?
Yes.
I mean, Mimics.
I know them all.
Exactly. Do you think your EDD is better, and why?
I don't think we are. Much better. And I will prove it to you. We are much better. You have seen the presentation of Charlie where he's using a hammer as a tool. And then he has the machine hammer, which is very fast. I think we are the machine hammer. It's a very modern tool. It's very easy to use, and it's extremely fast. And of course, it's reliable. Mimics is on the market much longer than we are. But we had the opportunity to investigate what people really need and what they want and how happy they are with the solutions. And all the people we have spoken to that use other solutions that were not happy actually complain about the latency on the target system. Yes. Echo Shoes is a nice example. Of course, it's a big customer. It's my biggest customer in the Northern Europe area. They have 2 huge 795 systems. They run their full business on 2 power systems. They run SAP, and they used to have running Orion, OMS ODS it's called. It's from Vision. They had latency. Then they changed to Itera. They had latency, average 8 hours a day. And they use QuickEdd for 4 years now. And the latency is gone. I repeat, the latency is gone. This is a little bit sales talk. You can talk to Annette from Echo Shoes, ask herself about the latency. Average, if we look at the full environment, they don't have latency anymore. Okay? And another complaint, which is really seriously about actually all the products we have. iCluster, it was bought by IBM. They've sold it to Rocket Software. It's like Mimics. It's very complex. And if there's someone in the room here who will say it's not complex, then I really would like to set up a discussion. If you compare EDD to all the other tools, EDD is really easy to use. You get far less messages. For example, with Mimics, I have a customer in England, Thomas Miller, insurance company. He installed Mimics himself, and he said, I was working on it for years and years, and actually it didn't work properly. Okay, that's fine. Then we installed QuickEdd, and after a year, I asked him, after 6 months, what is your impression of EDD? And then he said, I don't trust your product. So I was not happy. I said, why? He said, well, I'm used to getting lots of messages every day from Mimics. And now with your product, I look into the software several times a day. Where are my messages? You don't get them that much. If you get a message, there is something the matter and you need to do something. You need to manage QuickEdd. It will take you 5 to 10 minutes. But we are the only one in the market, for example, that is really reporting what is going on. So we know exactly what the status quo is on the target system and what is going on and what is going wrong. If there are damaged objects or whatever is the case, we will report it to you. And we have found out with our verify function on, for example, a Mimics environment, that a lot of things were not replicated. Objects were out of sync, there were damaged things, but it was not reported. So the customer will tell you, I'm happy. And then I will say, let me please install EDD in 1 hour, and we run the verify for 4 hours, and then I'll make a report to you, and then let's see if you're still happy. Because we're going to report things that we have found with our verify function. And I've never seen an empty page. I won't say we will not have problems. That's of course not true. We might also have bugs. We have maybe specific functions that you want that it's not in the software. You will discover this during a test, for example, and then we can decide to build it for you. Right? That is the test for that you can test exactly what you need. But average, we cover everything, we replicate everything, full IFS. We handle, for example, in SAP environments, the blobs, which is a real serious problem for all those solutions. It's too much information to replicate. And if you use the remote journaling technology, it will be too much information. So that is really unique about the product. And people say, you should use the remote journal from IBM. Why? We can do it with the local journal. And that's, of course, the magic thing behind the product. That's about the technical guys that know about MI. But it's a fact. So I know Itera, for example. This is a similar tool like EDD. It's easy to set up, easy to maintain and stuff like that. Well, put it this way, I think it's for smaller environments. If you have lots of data and stuff like that, if your bandwidth is normal to minimum, you will get latency. iCluster Mimics, very complex. Mimics is a good product, out of the question. It's complex, and you need time, and you need money, because it's expensive. And they brought their prices down because of our product. So today, if you compare, it will be quite similar. And of course, we have IBM. Are there IBM people in the room, maybe? They have their own solution. They have Power HA, several versions, geographical mirror, metro mirror, global mirror, and on top they can sell you iCluster. This is the, I don't know how they name it, but it's in the software package. So you have then two solutions to make the solution complete. But Power HA is not a high availability solution. It is about disaster recovery, right? We have two systems. You do your business on the source, and the target system is in a deep coma. So what happens if you crash? The source is gone. You need to activate your target. If you crash, you will have damaged objects. On disk, they will be copied to the target. So you have your shit on the source, you have your shit on the target. Welcome. That's not a good thing, I think. And you have to repair this, right? But the big problem is, I think, that the target system has to come up first. And the question is, my question is to IBM, how long will it take before the target will be activated? That what we do in 15 minutes guaranteed. I ask IBM, how long will it take? And then IBM will say, I don't know. Could be 10 minutes. Yes, that's right. Could be 2 days. This happened in Germany, and they decided not to switch. So that is kind of risky, I think. So if you really, it's the discussion inside your company, what you need and what you want and how much money you have. But if you want 24/7 uptime, then I think we get very close to this. Other solutions, well, I think we have had all the solutions today. Maxava is one. It's from New Zealand or Australia. So first problem is the time zone. You have to telephone to New Zealand. It will cost you quite some money. And Maxava is like Mimics, like iCluster, like iTerra. They all use the remote journal technology, and they programmed in RPG something that will replicate the audit journal, where we do it in one virtual journal and bring it organized to the target system. So then you have a little impression of the market. Yes, and for those who don't have that much money, we could create a solution where we replicate only your data to a machine of a partner in Poland. For example, Silpol. Maybe we can set this up. We've done it in several countries, and it's really good money. We could say something like, this sounds sexy, 35 euro a day. Doesn't sound that great. 50 euro a day. We protect your data till 1 second before the crash. What is the value of your data? If you have a system crash, you might lose 1 day. Is that an issue? That's the whole question. If it is, I think you should protect it. 50 euro a day. It's not much. So that's an alternative, maybe. And for those who have their systems in a data center, we can make prices based on the CPW. We can make prices based on the amount of data you have. In case you don't have your own systems anymore and you run maybe in a data center. So we have a very flexible way of pricing. And you will have local support in your own language. I think that's also important. And bug fixing we do in Paris in the same time zone as that you are. We are actually the only one. The rest is in the US or in New Zealand. And support is, how bad is it? It's normally we are very fast. But, well, we might have issues, we have bugs, and we need to wait for IBM that they will maybe fix something, or could take days, weeks. So I think you have a nice impression of the market. All tools will replicate, yes, but there's a big difference. You can find out by testing. So that is also a serious advice we give. Try to reserve some time for proper testing. Please do, because you will find things that are serious and you need to solve that. And one product might cover it and the other won't. Okay. If there are no more questions, thank you very much for your attention. I don't have hard copies, no red books. We have it on the internet. It's over there. So, and for those who want a card, I have a nice football business card. All the programs are there, so you can follow the World Cup where you're not there. We have one match and then we will be out. I probably think that will be the case. They're here, so thank you.